Of all the things Howard said, I wonder, Renato, if you would respond to his first point on what is happening when someone as experienced and powerful as Rupert Murdoch does make what in court are sometimes called admissions against interest. I mean, it's not a trial of a criminal nature. It's not technically a criminal confession. But Howard, as a kind of shrewd observer, is overlapping with something you said earlier, which is, has the star witness to some degree become Rupert Murdoch? And if so, why?
Yeah, it's interesting. I actually think maybe for Rupert Murdoch at his age, he does have some level of dignity to him in his mind that Tucker Carlson doesn't have. I mean, Tucker Carlson has no shame. To use Governor Dean's point, have you no shame, sir? Said to Senator McCarthy. I don't think Tucker Carlson has any shame at all, or Maria, or a lot of these other hosts. Rupert Murdoch, he's a billionaire, and frankly, this isn't the only thing he has going on, and he's an older guy, and he may just, frankly, with the straight face, he didn't feel like he could answer the question any differently. And I think that is really, it's good lawyering. But it's actually better fact. And I think really a lot of what did in Fox here is the fact that not only were they peddling falsehood, but they were inquisitive privately about the truth. In other words, if you have a perfect propaganda machine, you don't ever try to find out the truth. This way you can, kind of shrug and say, you didn't know any better. But they were really privately very interested to know the truth. They just didn't want to tell their viewers. And I think it put Murdoch in a situation where he just couldn't defend that.
Yeah, let me throw out another theory, because, again, we're doing legal breaking news here. Howard raised the point, so now we're just kind of doing it just like I told viewers. We're going through this as we get it. But I wonder for Renato and then Howard, because we're kind of putting Murdoch slightly on the sofa here, but he's been through so many of these. I wonder whether his full knowledge of how much has been committed to record. I mean, they just leaked a Zoom audio recording. Somebody at high levels knew that recording existed. The old predecessor, Roger Ailes, had a lot of surveillance inside the company. We talk about McCarthy hearings. You can talk about Watergate. The people who use surveillance are conscious of it, but it can come back to bite you. Only Rupert Murdoch knows how many people he discussed this with, how much of it is documented, whether we're seeing a part of it, all of it, or a tiny slice of it, and that Renato, to not commit perjury, among other things, he at least has to match what he's already committed to paper about what at one time was considered the very obvious fact that on, November 10th, Donald Trump had lost and this was all going to go away soon, or not because of the insurrection, but they weren't going to stay in office. Is that a possible theory, do you think, Renato?
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, Rupert Murdoch has a lot more to lose than the typical person in a lawsuit. I mean, he's a billionaire. He owns multiple companies. Ultimately, at the end of the day, whatever happens with this lawsuit, whatever the settlement is, Rupert Murdoch's still going to be a billionaire, and he's still going to own a lot of companies. And for him, not getting himself in trouble, not jamming himself up more is, frankly, more of a paramount concern. So I think that's an interesting way of looking at it, and very well may be the case, because the simplest way of keeping yourself out of trouble from, let's say, a perjury perspective or something like that is to tell the truth and really not to try to play games. People who try to keep their stories straight too much usually end up mixing something up. So I think Murdoch may have just been very candid because, screw it. He's not going to get himself jammed up any more than he already is.
It's all very fascinating. Again, for viewers who are joining us as the hour continues, we have the new filing. Nicole and MSNBC's coverage today. It said we're waiting on it. We now have it. It's got some bombshells. I have another piece of it that our producers have been combing through that I'm going to read to our guests. We talked about Bartiromo and how she was already been caught by receipts in this case. New tonight is the email from Sidney Powell's supposed source to Bartiromo. This was the foundation of some of the false claims or lies that led to the defamation case. Writing about mail-in ballots, the source says she obtained this information they wanted to present on Fox News by traveling through time. Quote, "When I'm awake, I see what others don't see and hear what others don't hear." Howard Dean, take it away.
Well, I'm not going to render a medical opinion on Sidney Powell, although I probably agree with most of the ones that have been rendered by others. But I did think of another motive that Murdoch could have. Murdoch is trying to pass the management of his empire on to his kids. And I think Lachlan is the one that runs Fox. Lachlan is in really serious trouble here. And I think Murdoch may be telling, and I totally agree with the notion that when you really get into trouble, the best thing you could do is tell the truth, and to try to save yourself. He also may be trying to save Lackland, who's clearly really in some serious trouble because he was the direct supervisor of all these creeps and crooks that were, fronting the falsehoods for Fox News. I'm amazed people still call it Fox News. It's not news. It's Fox propaganda.